It's Brian.
Jason.
And this is Perfectly Screwed Podcast, the mellow tones of the lovely Perfectly Screwed Podcast. How are y'all doing?
It's a mellow mood here early in the morning. We don't have the candles on though this time.
Yeah, I know, no candles. I am so happy that I have power and have kept power since it went off randomly. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I don't even know. I'm not actually that tired. I'm kind of okay, which is amazing because we both work just 12 hours.
You don't have to work tonight though.
No, I don't. You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sucks for you, buddy. But hey,
yes, it does.
Did you hear that? I mean, you don't know him, but our buddy Nick at the factory. We were talking about him a few weeks ago, but he just got engaged to another girl at the factory that he was been dating for a long time. I wanted to call him out and say it, that they just got engaged. So
I don't know who you're talking about.
I know. Well, you do, because he was the guy we talked about that, got fired recently for the drinking.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, he just got engaged to another girl. She still works there, I guess.
No, well.
But I don't know where he works anymore, but they just got engaged.
Well, I'm sure they already called him back and...
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. No problem. No problem.
I just want you to know that you're good for rehire whenever you're ready, bud.
Yeah, when you work at Dollar General Distribution, see, I can say anything I want now because I don't work there and they can suck my big hard cock.
Right.
So when you work at Dollar General Distribution, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens. If you're drunk on the job, just wait a couple weeks. They'll call you back. No problem. You have your job right back. You just kiss the right ass and suck the right dick, and you got your job back immediately.
Well, that's probably with any job.
No. Amazingly enough, if the place that I work at now, if you get caught doing stuff that's stupid, they don't call you back, interestingly enough. Like a normal factory. They just eliminate you. Speaking of, I have something that actually ties into this, speaking of my job. Okay, it's an ironic thing that happened. There was a guy, and I heard about this story about a week ago, and I think all of our listeners out there in lovely podcast land will enjoy this. So, and I know you will. So this younger kid, he had been working there about a year. Okay, it was a Friday. And this Friday, he got off work, had just got paid, got $800 in his bank account, and he thinks that is a good time to go rob McClure's at gunpoint, and then go try to rob the CVS pharmacy downtown, where he got caught and immediately arrested and is now doing 20 years in prison.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was a neat little story.
I guess he wanted to keep the money momentum.
I don't know.
He successfully robbed McClure's.
Yeah, he successfully robbed McClure's, and
that wasn't enough.
No, that wasn't enough. He only got like $5 off McClure's, but they knew who he was because the dumbass left the factory, did not wear a mask or anything. Like literally went from the factory, and McClure's was a block away, and he literally robbed the store on his way home. Like, he bought something from the store, like a pack of cigarettes, went back out to his car, grabbed his gun, walked back in, robbed the store that he just bought cigarettes from, and then thought, well, hell, I robbed this store, might as well go downtown and rob a pharmacy.
Well, I'm guessing it's early morning, late night.
Mm-hmm.
And, dude, if they get fucking $60, $70 in their drawer, they have to drop.
Yeah.
In the safe.
Yeah.
Which they can't get in.
Right.
So, yeah, he probably went in there with a gun, so give me all the money in the register and got like $8.
He got $5.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He got
$5 he just fucking paid.
Then he just paid for the cigarettes. He got his money back. He would have been better off just robbing him for the cigarettes. I mean, right. Yeah.
So that's why I'm guessing that's why he went to CVS too.
Yeah.
He didn't get a good enough tape.
I guess. I don't know. I don't get it. It's better, though, than the guy I know, and I met this kid years ago, and him and another guy broke into the Dairy Queen in Gas City where you live. Okay, it was after hours, after they were closed. They scaled the building, went on top of it, set off the silent alarms that are on top of the building. Then they shimmied down a duct into the Dairy Queen.
Wow.
Now, the Dairy Queen's closed. My first thought is, what do you think you're getting out of a Dairy Queen, first off?
Right.
Secondly, they're closed.
Right.
It's after hours, so they probably more than likely made a money drop. Finally, even if they didn't make the money drop, all the money's in the safe. You two geniuses are breaking in with no way to open a safe.
No.
No idea how to open the safe. No code for the safe. You don't even know where the safe is.
No available soft serve.
You're right. Nothing available. You know what they got? Well, they got 25 years in prison
Right.
for breaking and entering, and they also got a box of dilly bars, which they ate before the cops came to arrest them.
Worth it? Some would say yes.
I guess if you like dilly bars,
What's
I mean...
crazy about the guy that robbed the McClure and the CVS to me, though, is like, you can understand and see some people that are in desperate times, desperate measures.
Yeah, but
right?
you just
Hard
got
on their
paid.
luck. Right. Don't have a fucking pot to piss in. This
Right.
dude just got paid.
Just got paid $800. Had $800 in his account. Why rob two places?
At least
Right.
go to the titty bar.
Right. I don't
Blow
know.
the 800.
I mean, I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, what?
Must be
What did
I don't
you
know
got?
what the hell he was thinking.
Exactly. Just like I don't know what they were thinking about breaking in a Dairy Queen in the middle of the night.
No, because
I mean-
obviously the only thing that a Dairy Queen's worth robbing is soft serve vanilla.
Well, I mean...
Dilly bars it's a good treat. It ain't worth 25 years.
No. I mean, at least if you're going to get robbed, you should have got an ice cream cake or something. I mean, if you're going to do 25 years.
Right. Oh, yeah. Man, that sounds good.
I mean... But no, they couldn't even get into the freezer because it was locked.
Fucking ice cream cake.
Like, they couldn't get into anything. The manager's office was locked.
No, of course not.
They couldn't get into the freezers. They couldn't get into
That's why
anything.
it's stupid to rob convenience stores and gas stations.
Well, why are you going to break into a
These
Dairy Queen
motherfuckers
after
drive.
hours? If you're going to rob a Dairy Queen, you're going to do it while it's open. I mean, at least then there's money in the drawer. I mean, at this point, you're robbing a place that has already made the money drop at the bank. I mean, there's no money in the store. At the very most you're going to get is $200 they're opening the store with, and that's in the safe.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Right. And you have no way to open the safe.
No.
Right. So what are you doing? What?
Showing some dilly bars waiting on the cops.
What I do is, that's the other problem. They couldn't get back out of the store.
No.
Right. Because they didn't know how to open the doors, so they locked themselves into a store and set off the alarm to, I guess they just like going to prison. I mean, it's all I can think. I see no reasonable reason to rob a store.
Well, it's just not well thought out.
No, that was the dumbest thing in the world.
Buddies like, hey, let's get in the Dairy Queen. I bet we could shimmy up, scale the wall, go down that fucking duct. We can be in there. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, let's do it. And then before you know it, you're stuck. You're stuck in the goddamn Dairy Queen with no way out.
Oh my God. It just, none of it makes any sense whatsoever. But, since we're talking about things that are weird coincidences and ironic twists of fate, that's actually kind of what we're talking about today, really. And I'm going to start off with, because I got a bunch of these. Do you think I should start off with the big one or save that to the end? Or save that to like the middles? Start with the big ones?
Start with the bangs.
Okay, well then we're going to talk about Kennedy and Lincoln. Some ironic shit and coincidences. And there's a lot of these coincidences. We were talking about a few of them before we started the podcast. But Lincoln and Kennedy have a lot of interesting ones. And, of course, with everything that we talk about, I like to put it up front that not all of this is necessarily verified. And like with most things, when you talk about paranormal or coincidences or anything like that, when we're talking about true crime, pretty much most of that is documented. You know, like when we're talking about, like last week we were talking about Ridgeway. I mean, everything that crazy motherfucker did is clearly documented.
Right.
You know, but when you talk about paranormal, you talk about coincidences. It can be explained away, a lot of it, and some of it isn't verified. Like the whole Kennedy Lincoln thing with the secretary is not verified, but it has been said that that was true. So,
well, it's like anything else, you know. It should make you think. You should form your own opinion, and yeah, you should do your own research.
me personally, I think it opens up the idea of more of a simulation in this world.
Right.
Because these coincidences, these weird things, it's almost like it's scripted like a video game, man. I mean, only a writer could come up with shit like this.
Yeah, it's very possible. We are living in a video game. Very possible.
Okay, so let's start off with this. First of all, Abraham Lincoln was born in, let's see, let me get this right. Or no, let's not start off with that. Yeah, okay, let's start off with that. Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, as we both know, were both assassinated, right? Both shot in the head. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of coincidences between these two. And they're not the only presidents that were killed. But it's also interesting that Lincoln's son was also around when a lot of presidents were assassinated. Like, his son was like either coming to meet or around when like 3 or 4 presidents were killed. In fact, they asked his son like later on in life, do you want to run for office? Because you know you have a famous dad. And he said, I don't know if that's a good idea. I seem to be bad luck for any president I'm around.
Who else got killed?
Let's see. I think, oh God, I'll have to look it up here in a minute. But let's get with this and then I'll look it up. But yeah, his son was around like 4 presidents that got killed, like his dad and like 3 others. Like all were assassinated when he was like going to see him. McKinley, I think.
I didn't think there was that many assassinated.
Oh yeah, there's been a ton of them. But anyways, Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. Mm-hmm. Okay? John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946, 100 years apart. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in the year 1860, and John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. The names Lincoln and Kennedy each contain 7 letters. They were both killed right after giving civil rights addresses. Lincoln did the Gettysburg Address, as we know, and like very short time afterwards was shot. Kennedy gave the civil rights movement speech, and not too long after that was also shot. So they were both really ingrained with civil rights, and both were shot. Both, interestingly enough, both their wives lost children while they were in the White House. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Lincoln's wife had miscarriages while she was in the White House, and so did Jackie. And they were both shot on a Friday.
Right.
Right. And they were both shot in the head. Now, let's get into some of this here. See...
Yeah, like Lincoln's assassin was caught in a... building.
Well, Lincoln's... John Wilkes Booth, who killed Lincoln.
Yeah, shot him in
a theater and then ran to a warehouse. Lee Harvey Oswald shot Kennedy in a warehouse
caught in a theater.
And both were injured on the way out.
Right.
Not only that, but there was something about PH in each of the names of the warehouse and theaters they were caught in. It was like the abbreviations of the warehouse and theaters they were caught in. Yeah. Like, there's a bunch of them. So they both lost children while they were in the White House. Both presidents, like I said, they were shot on a Friday. Both were shot in the head.
Lincoln was shot in a theater named Ford.
Yeah.
And Kennedy was shot in a car named Lincoln.
Yeah, in a car named Lincoln.
Ford.
Made by Ford. Not only that, but
what the fuck?
Here's another one. Okay. Lincoln was in the 7th box in Ford's theater when he was shot. Kennedy was in the 7th car in the motorcade when he was shot. Yeah. Now, this is one that's kind of wiggy because there's not much verification on it, but we do know there was a warning. See, and this is interesting too. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy and warned him that she had a premonition that he should not go. She had a dream. And she told Lincoln, she said, look, I don't want you to go to Ford's theater. I have a dream you're going to die at Ford's theater. Kennedy's secretary, who was named Lincoln, said she had a dream and warned him not to go to Dallas because she had a premonition that he was going to be shot in Dallas. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
But see, there's another. And they were both assassinated by Southerners. That's interesting. Like, okay, John Wilkes Booth was a Southern sympathizer, but he was born in Maryland, but he was a Southern synthesizer. Synthesizer, yes. Here we go. Okay, for everybody who doesn't know, let me explain the rules. Here we go again. There is a little game that we like to play on the podcast. It is called the drinking game. As you heard just now, instead of saying sympathizer, I said synthesizer. Which is a completely different object and something that was not invented when Lincoln was shot at all. But the game is this. If I fuck up a word like I just did, or if I say a word wrong, if I stumble over my own tongue, if I'm just being a dumbass at the moment and not saying the word right, we welcome you here in the Perfectly Screwed podcast to go ahead and take a shot. A shot of your favorite beverage, preferably alcoholic.
Drink responsibly.
We don't want you.
Be sure to Uber.
We don't want you taking shots of milk. We're not talking about taking shots of Pepsi Cola here. Jack Daniels, we would prefer, but you choose how you choose. If it's vodka that you like, please do that. If you're an alcoholic, we would prefer that you don't drink though. So, take that as it is. But please enjoy the drinking game. And
Ron, can I get you a beer?
Yeah.
It's 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Scotch?
Yeah, scotch. Yeah. It's 8:30 right now.
Hey, so,
we're doing this at 8:30 in the morning, so I'm not taking
four presidents have actually been assassinated.
Yes, see, that's what I told you. And you know what? Robert Kennedy. Jesus Christ, it's early. That's not even called a mistake. That's just stupid. No, Lincoln's son, who actually I think was named Robert also, interestingly enough, but he was around like all of those presidents except for Kennedy.
Yeah, because it was Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley.
Yeah.
65, 81, and 1901.
Yeah, and
Roosevelt was wounded and recovered. That was 1912.
Well, so was Reagan. Reagan was wounded and recovered.
Right.
But no, okay, so Garfield, McKinley, and Lincoln, right? Those three. Lincoln's son was around them when they got shot. He was like right in the same room as Garfield when he got shot.
Right.
He was going to go see McKinley when he got shot. Man. That's what I said. Yeah, his son's almost like bad luck for presidents.
Or he's in on it. Son of a bitch.
Do we not? Do we know if Lincoln's son was an assassin? I mean, we don't really.
We know.
Records.
We really don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking, the only thing we know about Lincoln's son at this point is that he was on scene or en route to all the fucking murders.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying.
You know what's also funny? They were both succeeded by Southerners too when they died. Lincoln and Kennedy.
Both by Johnsons.
Yeah, both by Johnsons. Andrew and who was the one?
Lyndon.
Lyndon, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, both by Johnsons. They were both succeeded by Johnsons, and they were both from the South.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because they were both fighting for civil rights, which both the other ones didn't want in the first place.
That's crazy shit, man.
Yeah, they were both successors, were named Johnson.
But ultimately, what I think they both had in common was they wanted to cut out the Federal Reserve, dude.
Another weird thing, do you know this? That Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908.
Yeah.
Right. Which, a lot of these, this is the other thing. Get this. Here's another one about born and about timelines about this. John Wilkes Booth was born 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, born 1939. Yeah.
It's like somebody's fucking with you, dude.
Yeah, it's like, that's what I'm saying.
It's like somebody's
when
fucking
you
with
look
us.
at things like this, it's almost like it's scripted. It's like somebody's giving you little Easter eggs in the game. Like,
So somebody...
let's see if you can figure it out.
Somebody's pulling the strings.
Can you figure it out? Can you figure out the little things we're leaving for you to figure this out?
Yes, I
can. You see the Matrix?
Obviously.
Can you see the Matrix, guys?
Somebody's pulling the strings.
Yeah.
That somebody, 100 years means nothing to.
It's probably a 20-year-old programmer who wrote this game, and he's like, ha, let's put this in here. This will be cute.
100 years.
This will be real cute.
100 years as we see it means nothing to whoever is pulling the strings on this. That's too many coincidences, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's way too many coincidences. It's way too many... Bro, you fucking are shot in a theater named Ford. You know what I'm saying? And Kennedy shot in a fucking car named Lincoln. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well...
That's ridiculous shit. Like, all these motherfuckers born 100 years apart. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they also...
Get real.
Well, they also point to that both assassins were known by their full names. Like, you knew their middle names. But that's actually not that odd, because if you think about it, every time there is an assassination,
pretty much,
they say by all three names.
Yeah. And
when it's just a murderer or a serial killer or a mass murderer, they only give you two names. Which right that and there is kind of weird. That anytime somebody assassinates somebody, we know all three. We know their whole name. Whereas, when it's just a murderer, it's just two names. And
I'm pretty sure Lee Harvey Oswald and John Wilkes Booth have the same exact number of letters, too.
Yeah, they have the same exact number of letters in their name. They're both comprised of 15 letters.
I mean, it's just...
Yeah, it's like somebody had to write this.
And all these numbers, like if you would do the research on the numbers, all the numbers have meaning, right? The 15 letters, the 7th box and the 7th car back in the motorcade. These are all symbols pointing to some secret society. Call them the Illuminati or whatever the fuck you call them. You know what I mean? But that's what they're doing. Like, they're playing you, right? Like you said, how far down the rabbit hole are you willing to go and dive into it? You know what I'm saying? Because, and that's the thing. Like, either you're like conspiracy and you shut yourself down. That's how most people are, right? And I can understand why. Because some things you get curious about, you get going down the rabbit hole, it will change your goddamn life.
Yeah.
Right? It will change your whole perspective on life and how you've always seen things. It's fucking scary. It can be scary.
Well, this is the thing I think about this. If you start opening yourself up to the possibility of all of these things, then you've got to open yourself up to the possibility of everything.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then, like you said, how far are you willing to go with that? Because if one thing is possible, then everything is possible.
Yeah, 100%.
See, that's why it's easier for a lot of these skeptics to just be skeptics.
Right.
Because,
it is.
Yeah, to be a skeptic is real easy because basically you're saying, I don't believe in any of this shit.
Yeah, right.
Right. And you find ways to make this not be true. But the problem with a skeptic is this. There's some things, no matter how much you try to put them in this box and say, well, that can't possibly be true, there's no explanation for them. So if there's no explanation, well, then you got to open yourself up and say, well, maybe I can't explain this. So therefore, if you can't explain it, then that opens that box.
Right.
Well, again, when you open that box, then you've got to open all these boxes. Because
Right.
if this is possible, then all of it's possible. And if all of it's possible, you got to say to yourself, you know what? We don't really know shit. And that's the problem is we really don't know shit.
No, we don't.
Right.
That's a big point.
Yeah. Here's another.
So like you said, it's easy to be a skeptic, but you don't know shit.
Right. You don't know.
I mean, you can say that it's bullshit, it's conspiracy, and whatever the fuck, but you don't fucking know.
I mean, it's easy to write anything off.
Absolutely.
But the problem is you don't really know. And when you have things like this, where it's not just one coincidence, it's like 100.
Yeah, well, and it's
like
it's the magnitude of it too.
Yeah,
like, we're not talking about two fucking schmoes in Marion doing a podcast. You know what I mean? It's some coincidences are happening. Too.
Right.
These are the fucking presidents of the United States.
Right.
They were shot in the fucking head.
And there's too many coincidences between them to just say, well, yeah.
They were shot in the fucking head, and Oswald and Booth both died.
Right. Yeah, before the way to their trial.
Yeah, never going to trial. So these two fucking presidents with all these fucking connections and coincidences both were shot in the motherfucking face, and nobody went to jail, and nobody will.
Not only were they shot in the heads, but again, let's get even farther. They were shot while sitting right next to their wives.
Yep.
Both of them.
Yep.
So, as we go even farther, a month before Lincoln was assassinated, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A month before Kennedy was assassinated, he was in Maryland, Monroe.
Yeah. That's the best.
That is the best.
That's funny as fuck. It's true too.
Yeah, that's actually true. But I mean,
but like as far as the Kennedy assassination blows my mind too, because
if you want to go with the Kennedy assassination,
if you think that Lee Harvey Oswald was the only gunman, and you think that there was no conspiracy to kill the president, then what you also believe in is a magic bullet.
Yeah.
A bullet that literally stopped in midair, made a fucking 90-degree turn, and then went back through somebody's fucking flesh. That's what you believe in. And I'm fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe in that there might be something else at play. And I don't believe that a bullet can stop in mid-fucking air, turn, and then accelerate again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you've been convinced of. Somebody convinced you of that. Man, we had a lady when I was in high school come to talk to us about the JFK assassination, right?
Mm-hmm.
Been doing the shit for 30 years, bro, and she believed in the magic bullet.
Well, does she believe in the Robert Kennedy magic bullet too? We talked about the Robert Kennedy one on here. I know we have.
But I just remember being so astounded by this. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like a big deal that this lady was coming to talk to us. And she was just all about it. How 30 years of her life she's been dedicated to studying this case, this assassination. But she believed in a magic bullet, dude. It was the first time I'd ever heard of the magic bullet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ever been explained that this theory, like I said, involves a bullet going through somebody, stopping, turning, and going back through somebody. I'm looking around like, is this fucking real? Is this fucking real? Is everybody hearing this?
Here's another thing about Kennedy and Lincoln. Lincoln's only son that survived was Robert Lincoln. Kennedy's brother was Robert Kennedy.
Right.
Now, speaking of Robert Lincoln, I looked it up really quickly. Okay. He studied law, and in 1877, after his father had died, after Lincoln had died, Robert, who was Lincoln's only son, he was offered a position of Assistant Secretary of State, but he declined. He later accepted an appointment by James Garfield, Secretary of War. He was walking with Garfield at the 6th Street train station in Washington, D.C., when the president was shot and killed. Okay? Then he was serving as ambassador to the United Kingdom. And he was going up in an elevator for a meeting later on in life, in 1901, with President McKinley, to meet President McKinley, when President McKinley was shot and assassinated and killed. And that's what he said. He said, Lincoln wrote, "I do not congratulate you, for I have seen too much on the seamy side of the presidents." He was later invited to the White House as a figurehead of the Republican Party, and he declined, and he swore he would never step foot in the White House again. He said, "I am not going, and they better not invite me, because there is certainly a fatality about me and presidents being around me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong.
3 of the 4 got shot when he was like right near him. Right. Well, he was supposed to be at Ford's Theater. Did you know that?
Really?
Yes, he was supposed to be at Ford's Theater. Interesting. That's another little side note. Robert Kennedy, was thinking about going to Dallas with his brother. And had he been in the motorcade, he would have got shot and Kennedy would have survived. Robert Lincoln was supposed to go to Ford's Theater with his father, didn't make it. And if he had been there, Booth would have never been able to shoot Lincoln because he would have had to get around his son in the hallway. Coincidence? Maybe.
Maybe.
Just putting it out there, guys.
But maybe not.
Just saying. Seems like a lot of odd shit to go. I'm just saying.
What's some other stories? What are some other coincidences?
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was telling you about some of these before the podcast, before we started recording. Okay, here's an incident in Bermuda in 1974.
Jamaica.
Ooh, I want to take it to Bermuda, Bahama. You know what's funny? Kokomo is not actually an island in the Bahamas. You do know that, right? That's just made up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not real. There's not really a Kokomo island.
No.
I don't know why the fuck they came up with that. The only Kokomo I know of is here in Indiana.
Well, because back then when they were making songs like that, they were on LSD or mushrooms.
This was
Kokomo was real.
That was in the 80s, man.
Same thing.
Well, they might have been. But in 1974 in Bermuda, a twin died when a taxi cab struck his moped scooter. 1 year later to the date, the other twin, riding on the exact same scooter, was struck and killed by the exact same taxi cab, driven by the exact same driver, with the exact same passenger, and killed the other twin. Within a year of each other. Not only was he killed on the same road, not only was he killed on the same exact moped, But he was killed by the exact same taxi cab driven by the same guy with the same passenger in the back. The same guy was in the back.
Yeah, dude.
First of all, I think that taxi cab driver needs his license revoked. I'm sorry, you're over here killing people, man, left and right. You're just running people
down. Sounds like he has something out for fucking dudes on mopeds.
Yeah, exactly.
But dude, that is absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm. Early 2002, a pair of 70-year-old twins died on the same day in Raw, Finland. Both men were struck and killed by the same type of trucks. While riding their bicycle on the same exact stretch of road, about a mile apart from each other, within a span of 2 hours. Police did not expect premeditated suicide, as one twin did not even have knowledge that his brother was dead before setting out on his bike. I'm just saying. Okay, here's one that I didn't tell you. Here's about a church exploding. Listen to this one. A church exploded in the small Nebraska town of Beatrice. Beatrice? Yeah, Beatrice, Nebraska. That was close. That was almost a shot. Now, I wouldn't do that
yeah,
one.
I mean, because it's a town. I mean,
I just don't know how to say it, but
Beatrice. I mean,
yeah.
and it may not be. You know, they may say it a different way there in Nebraska.
That's true. Now the church.
Beatrice.
The church. It blew up at 7:25 p.m. Okay, this church just exploded. They don't know how. Nobody's ever figured out how. But choir practice was supposed to begin that night at 7:20. But all 15 members of the choir would have perished in the blast. But, interestingly enough, all 15 members of the choir were saved because all of them were running late for all different reasons. So nobody was hurt when the church exploded because they were all running late. All for different personal reasons.
Well,
I'm just saying, guys.
I mean, my God.
Just putting it out there. Here's the one about the two identical twins I told you about. They were separated at 3 weeks old. They were adopted by separate families in Ohio in 1940. Now, 39 years later, in 1979, the brothers were reunited, and they found some interesting things about each other. Now, they'd been separated. They'd never seen each other their whole lives. Lived in separate towns. The families didn't know each other. They'd never known about each other till 39 years later. But both of the twins were named James by their adopted parents that had never met. They both went by the name Jim. Both were law enforcement agents as adults. Both were married to women named Linda, and that was their first wives. They were both divorced from Linda, who were their first wives. And then they both remarried a woman named Betty. After that, both of them had dogs that were named Toy. And both had sons that they named James Allen, who both went by the nickname Allen.
That's just
nuts.
It is.
That's what I'm saying. This is all like, it's like a script in a movie, man. It's like somebody wrote a fucking movie and it's just playing out on a cosmic scale. It's like they're putting these little fucking things here and there and going, let's see if they can figure this one out. Watch this. This is funny. This is a cute coincidence. Watch this.
It is.
Yes. So if anybody thinks that God doesn't have a sense of humor, there's your proof. Okay, here's your proof right the fuck here. Because if I was God and I was bored, I would do shit like this too.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely.
I'd be like, you know what? I'm bored. Let's do this shit. This would be funny. This would be a cosmic joke. Him and the archangels sitting up there going, look at these dumb motherfuckers. This is great.
You know, it makes me think how much how much free will do we actually have? You know what I'm saying? If that's not a coincidence, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
odd. That means there's something else at play.
Yeah.
And that means that both sets of parents named their child James, right?
Right. Both of them went by Jim.
That wasn't a free will decision.
No. Both of them married a woman named Linda.
Yeah.
Both of them remarried, secondly, a woman named Betty.
You always think making these free will decisions.
No.
By just your own willy-nilly free will.
It's scripted.
It's crazy.
Okay, well, here, we'll talk about Henry Ziegland. And I love this one. This one is great. Henry Ziegland left his longtime fiancée in 1893. Her brother vowed vengeance and accosted Ziegland on the man's property. The brother shot Ziegland in the face and then killed himself shortly afterwards. But the bullet that he shot towards Ziegland's face only grazed him and lodged behind a tree behind him. So 20 years later, in 1913, Ziegland decides that he wants to get this tree off his property. So he tries it with an axe, but he can't get it off with an axe. So he thinks the best thing to do is take some dynamite or something and blow this tree up. So when he goes to blow the tree up, the heat from the dynamite shot the bullet that had been lodged in the tree 20 years earlier back towards him, shot him in the face, and killed him.
God damn.
Yep. I mean,
that's just
nuts. You know who Bruce Lee is and his son Brandon, right?
Yeah.
Now, first of all, we both know they both died on the sets of their respective movies. Okay?
Right.
They both died from a miscalculation by one of the stunt people. Here's another interesting thing, though. Here's where it gets even freakier. Bruce Lee's last film that he died in was called Game of Death. And in it, there is a scene in the movie that explains how to properly use a fake gun while filming a movie. And shows in the movie a scene on how you could get shot for real by using a fake gun in a movie. His son, later in 1993, while filming The Crow, was shot when a gun misfired on the movie set, a fake gun, and killed him. Yeah, and it was predicted.
That's nuts.
Okay, here's one about Hitler. You'll like this one. There was a military leader, and his name was Tamerlan. His body was exhumed in 1941 by a Soviet scientist. Now, Tamerlan was a Soviet military leader, and around the Stalin time. So then in 1941, he was exhumed. Inside his tomb was a message that said, "When I rise from the dead, the world will tremble. And whosoever opens this tomb shall unleash an invader much more terrible than I." 2 days later, Adolf Hitler invaded the Soviet Union.
It's wild.
Okay, here's another one. This Japanese guy happened to be on business, and I would say his name, but it's like Tsutomu Yamaguchi. He was on a business trip to Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, the day the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on the city. He survived the atomic bomb blast on Hiroshima. And he got some burns, some radiation poisoning, but otherwise he was okay.
Then what? Headed to Nagasaki.
He returned to his home in Nagasaki, where the U.S. dropped a second atomic bomb just days later, and he survived that attack as well. Okay. On May 27th, 1817, a woman named Mary Ashford, was assaulted and murdered in the small English village of Erdington. A man named Abraham Thornton was charged and tried for the crime, but he walked away due to lack of evidence. So Mary's brother, William, refused to accept the verdict and appealed for a retrial, but to no avail. He didn't get one. So on May 27th, 1974, 157 years to the day, another one, Barbara Forrest, was assaulted and murdered in the exact same village. Her body was dumped several hundred feet away from the spot where Ashford's body was discovered. A man named Michael Thornton, again, so the first man was Abraham Thornton. Michael Thornton, 157 years later, was charged for her crime. But he walked, also for a lack of evidence. Now, her sister refused to accept the verdict. She appealed to have the case reopened, but to no avail. Again,
Yeah, man.
exactly in the same spot, and both victims said they felt that they were going to die right before their murders.
I mean, some like in that case, that could be a case of reincarnation, where the same people, the same souls, are reincarnating in the same situation over and over, you know, until they figure it the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
Figure it the fuck out, Thornton. Quit murdering these bitches. Quit fucking doing it. This is getting out of hand. It's ridiculous. It's been 157 years. It's time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Go about your day. We don't need to goddamn rape and assault women here.
Okay. Now, you know who Michael J. Fox is. We all do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, Michael J. Fox tried to register his name as Michael Fox with the Screen Actors Guild, but he was told there was an actor with the same name on the books, and therefore he couldn't, so he had to use his middle name, Michael J. Fox. Funny enough, and call this a coincidence, Fox, you know, Michael J. Fox, started Back to the Future. He played Marty McFly. He says in the movie that one of his favorite shows was science fiction theater, right? You remember that.
Mm-hmm.
That was an actual show that aired in the 50s. And guess who starred in most of those episodes? Michael Fox.
Really?
Yeah, who he originally could not register his name as.
Yeah.
Because of the thing. Now, you know who Sam Kinison was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know that Sam Kinison was very famous for doing drugs, drinking, all that,
right,
for a long time. And it's funny because, you know, Sam Kinison used to go on stage, and there was a very famous line he used to say when he was doing his stand-up. He would say, "I can drive better drunk than I can sober." Remember him saying that all the time? Funny enough, Sam Kinison was killed by a drunk driver. Yeah. Yeah. Again, coincidence?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, do you know who Jerome Irving Rodell is?
I do not.
He earned a fortune as the publisher of numerous health food books, and he published Prevention magazine. So he was taping the Dick Cavett show, and this never aired, but he was 72 at the time, and Rodell told the host, "You know what? I'm such a health nut, I'll live forever." He goes, "I've never felt better in my life. I'll probably live to be 100, 150. He said, "With my diet, you can live forever." While he was saying that, he died of a massive heart attack and dropped to the floor.
Are you serious?
Swear to God. Swear to God. Swear to God.
That's crazy, man. I don't think so, Rodell.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Okay, listen to this. So in 2011, there was a kind of a famous Canadian woman. Her name was Chantel Levine, and she participated and was a big person of a detoxification seminar, and she called it Dying in Consciousness. She would be daubed in mud, wrapped in plastic, swaddled in blankets, and then she would place her head in a cardboard box for 9 hours. The funny and ironic part about this is she wound up cooking herself to death after her body temperature raised to 105 degrees Fahrenheit.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just retarded.
Well, in 2010, a 54-year-old man, Alan Cantrell, he worked on ovens. So he entered a giant industrial oven, which he had done millions of times because he worked on ovens. He was going to make minor repairs to the oven. Unfortunately, his future son-in-law didn't know he was in the oven, accidentally locked him in, flipped on the switch, and caused him to burn to death.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So oven repairman burns himself to death in an oven. Yeah. Okay, here's an interesting one. In 1794, somewhere off the Hawaiian Islands, Captain John Kendrick's ship, the Washington, fired a 13-gun salute at another ship called the Jackal, which saluted back. They were saluting John Kendrick for being such an amazing captain. Unfortunately, one of their cannons was loaded with grape shot and killed Kendrick as he sat on the deck.
I mean, what the...
Here's one that's
Great captain, sir.
Let's kill him with grape shot.
You're a great captain, but we're all pretty sick of shit.
This is one of my favorites. There was a, okay, you know high-rise office buildings?
Yeah.
Okay, like skyscrapers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know the glass is unbreakable, right?
Supposedly.
Okay. Well, yeah.
You would hope.
Well, there was an account executive, and what he liked to do to prove to his clients and everything that the glass was unbreakable, he was known to run towards the glass and just bounce off of it and show them, hey, you know, glass unbreakable, can't break this glass. So he was at an office Christmas party, and he was doing this trick where he could just bounce off the glass. So he ran at the glass, and the first time, now he'd done this a lot in different scenarios. So the first time he runs at the glass, bounces right off it. Now, that wasn't enough for him, though. He wanted to show him he could do it again. So he ran at the glass again, hit it. This time, the glass didn't break. He knocked it out of the frame, fell 250 stories to his death. And funny enough, the glass still did not break.
Now it's a party.
But the glass still didn't break.
Right, well, no.
And the glass was intact.
Yeah, no, he proved his point.
Yeah, he proved his point. He just happened to, you know.
Well, what was the one about the attorney?
Oh, the attorney, yeah. An attorney was trying to get a man off of a murder trial. This man had shot another man in a bar. He said he'd done it accidentally, that the gun had accidentally went off while he was aiming it at the guy. So the attorney's trying to show the jury that, yes, this gun could accidentally go off. And while he's displaying this to the jury, he accidentally shot himself in the fucking head with the gun.
Killed himself.
But he got the guy off.
I mean, right. And that's, like I said, finally an attorney that's willing to go to bat for his client. Would have been nice if somebody else could have hired him, but he made his point.
Okay, so here's one. Troy Leon Gregg. He was a convicted murderer, and along with 3 other death row inmates, managed to escape a Georgia state prison in 1980. One day before he was to be put to death. So the very next day he was going to the chair. He was going to die. So that night, Greg decided, you know what? I just escaped prison. I just beat death. I'm going to go out and have myself a little celebration. So he went to bars, started drinking. Well, he got himself into a bar fight that night where they killed him.
I like to think that he went out on his own terms, though.
Oh, my goodness. Here's another one. A Nebraska man named Derek Keeper was so passionate about the idea that seatbelts were a law violation that he wrote columns about it. So less than 4 months after he wrote this column, he was in a car accident. Everybody else in the car survived because they were wearing their seatbelts except for him.
Damn.
Who got shot out and died. So, yeah, here's one I already told you. Eugene Asernsky is considered one of the pioneers of modern sleep. His research is most famous. He is most famous. There's a shot. There's a shot. There's a shot. God damn, famer isn't even a word. That time wasn't even close. But he discovered rapid eye movement in 1953. 45 years later, he died while falling asleep at the wheel of his car.
He was getting good REM, though.
Yeah, he was getting good REM sleep. Okay. Okay. As the summer of 1985 drew to an end, the New Orleans Recreation Department was so proud that there were no drownings that season at the city swimming pool that they threw a huge poolside party for 100 lifeguards, 100 more guests, and even 4 more active lifeguards were assigned to guard the pool and prevent, anything from happening. But the revelry continued for hours, and 31 Jerome Moody, a party guest, fell into the pool and drowned.
No.
Yes. And his body wasn't discovered until after the party started winding down.
Oh, no.
He was at a party with over 100 lifeguards and drowned in the pool. Yeah. In a pool that they were so proud of because he hadn't drowned the whole year.
No shit.
Now this is one, actually I listened to this on YouTube and it's actually quite disturbing. But you can listen to it if you want to. It's disturbing as hell. This guy was named Timothy Treadwell and he loved bears. Let's see. For every summer for 13 years, he'd have a bush pilot drop him off in the wilderness of Alaska Katami National Park to live among the giant grizzlies.
Oh.
He never got too close to them, but he made up names for them, sang songs to them, and filmed them, and claimed he loved them far more than he loved any filthy human and their so-called stupid civilization. On the end of his 13th year, it would prove kind of unlucky for the bear enthusiast.
Yeah, I would say.
He stayed a week later than normal as the summer of 2003 started coming to an end. During his final days, he was camping out with his girlfriend, Amy Huguenard. He saw a new bear, and for some reason he didn't quite trust the bear. That day, that brown bear devoured Timothy and Amy as they screamed in vain. Now, there was a camera recording the sound, but not the video because the lens cap was still on. So, yeah, they turned his thing into a documentary film called Grizzly Man in 2006.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I listened to the audio on this because it's on YouTube. If you guys want to hear it,
It has to be disturbing.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. No, it's bad. This dude is clearly not happy about getting eaten by the bear.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So this guy. But yes, that's just a few of the
Filthy
ironic,
humans.
filthy humans, and the bear consumes his ass. But I'm just saying, with all of these, not only ironic but coincidental like deaths and stuff like this, you just can't deny that there's something going on.
Yeah,
There's got to be. I mean, just the Lincoln Kennedy thing alone. Okay, you can write off a lot of those as, oh, maybe it's just coincidence. And yeah, I'd give you if it was a few.
Well, yeah.
But when it's like hundreds, I mean, when you got one after another, it's
you
like
can write
Jesus.
off any one of them as a coincidence.
Yeah, but when you got them all together, it's like, God dang, man.
Yeah.
And that's like the two twins that died on the same road.
Yeah.
You know, or
the ones that end up
with the same moped.
Same name, doing the same job.
Right.
The same girls.
Or the two that were killed by the
same-
exact same taxi with the same driver, with the same passenger,
Yeah.
on the same street, on the same moped. I mean, come on now.
Yeah,
that's wild. I mean, that's way past coincidence.
It's hard to explain.
It's impossible to explain. I mean, a lot of it's like, you know, you can explain a lot of things away, but that's just it. You know, that makes you go, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
Something's going on there. Yeah,
right,
somebody somewhere has something going on. You know, it's just not coincidence at a certain point. And like you said, look, it just, if you want to look at it, look at John F. and Robert. Both assassinated by magic bullets. Kennedy's magic bullet just did zigzags all through the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then hit the governor, and then circles back around, kills Kennedy, did a little dance in midair and sang a song while I was doing it.
Exactly.
Robert's magic bullet bounces off a styrofoam.
Yeah, so to me it's simple. It's like, that's not true.
No, obviously.
So obviously there was some kind of other plan in place.
Right.
What was that plan?
I mean, did Oswald...
Who came up with that plan, and why
Right.
was that the plan?
I mean, did Oswald take the shot? Of course he did. But did Oswald kill him? Well, maybe not. Was there a second shooter? Of course there fucking was.
Right.
What are you, crazy?
Yeah.
There was 2 bullets. I mean, you know, come on now. I mean, I'm not the biggest genius in the world, but I'm not an idiot either. I mean,
Right.
bullets don't curve and make magic dances in midair.
No, they don't.
Just like Robert Kennedy's. Bullets don't bounce off a styrofoam.
No.
It just doesn't happen. I mean, bullets will bounce off a lot of surfaces, but styrofoam, I'm sorry to say, is not one of them.
Yeah, it's just common sense. It's like,
Yeah,
nothing's impossible. Yeah, some things are impossible.
yeah. Some things you just got to look at.
Some things are impossible.
I mean, if you're going to look at it logically, then you got to look at it logically and say, well, bullets can't twirl in midair, and
They don't
bullets
stop and
can't
turn.
and bullets can't bounce off of styrofoam
No.
ceilings.
No.
I mean, those things, you know,
Those
there's certain
things
things
do not happen.
right.
Those things, there's laws that govern the universe and that
Right.
you can't break.
Right. And things like the odds, I mean, that's like if you're talking about logic, just think about the odds of 2 twins dying on the same road, on the same moped, by the same taxi, by the same driver, by the same passenger. The odds of that are probably more astronomical than than you winning the Powerball. I mean,
Oh yeah, way more astronomical.
yeah. You have a better chance of throwing a rock up in the air and randomly killing somebody than that happening. I mean, it's just, you know, there's certain things that are so illogical that logic does not even get into the situation. I mean, you can't make logic fit that.
No.
Right. And if you can't make logic fit it, then what you got to do is realize that, well, A, we're all perfectly screwed. Haha, you see how I did that? You see how I did that?
There's something
Like
else
that?
going on, right?
See how I just put that name out there? Just kind of inserted,
True.
shall we? Like the magic bullet that inserted itself into Kennedy's skull as it whooped around the governor.
Right. Went through his wrist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bounced off the tire. Stopped and jumped in Jackie O's purse for a little while, put on some Mago. No, my favorite one is the fact of Marilyn Monroe and Monroe.
Yeah, that's good shit.
Yeah. Kennedy was inside
He
Monroe.
was all up in that.
He was. But, I mean, but really, you can't say much because who wasn't in Monroe?
Right.
I mean, he was one of many. I mean, Monroe was probably the biggest sexual deviant in the world, which really, I wouldn't say she was a whore. Monroe just liked to fuck a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
I give her props for that. Hell, if I was back then and famous, I damn sure would have hit it. I mean, I don't. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a woman with a good sexual appetite, especially a hot woman with a good sexual appetite.
just wants to get on top, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, that's my theory about how Monroe died. I don't think it was pills. I think somebody was shoving their cock down her throat and it was some kind of sick sexual thing, kind of like David Carradine.
Could have been.
Yeah. And, she just choked. It's just how it happens, You know?
Shit happens.
Yeah. She was trying to see if she could suck the cock before passing out. And the pills just got lodged in the throat.
What a coincidence.
It's what happens. Yeah. Magic bullet theory. Magic pills theory. That's how Monroe died. These magic pills jumped off the fucking nightstand and just magically jumped down her throat and just got lodged her. She didn't swallow all of them. No. Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 62, and you've been listening to the Perfectly Screwed Podcast.
I hope you got some crazy coincidences in your mind. Go do some studying.
Yes, hopefully you enjoyed them. Whether you believe us or not is minor, because half of the shit we say we don't really believe, but we still just put it.
I don't know what
We just put it out there. we put out what we get to the best of our knowledge, and you guys make the decisions. We just give you something to think about for your week. But hopefully you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Later.